Before we begin, take 1 second to subscribe to this channel, because stories like this don't stay visible for long. And once you hear this one, you'll understand why staying connected matters. Today I'm holding time still and taking you back to a coin that looks simple, heavy, and quiet, yet carries a story powerful enough to stop collectors, historians, and seasoned investors in their tracks. This is the 5 Rand coin from South Africa dated 2004. At first glance, it doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't sparkle like gold bars or scream luxury. But for men who understand history, weight, legacy, and patience, this coin speaks in a deep, confident voice. The 5 Rand coin is not just money. It is a mirror of a nation's journey, struck in metal. By 2004, South Africa had already stepped into a new era, carrying the memory of struggle, leadership, resilience, and transformation. Coins from this period were designed to reflect strength and unity, and the 5 Rand carried that responsibility with authority. When you hold it, you feel balance, purpose, and intention. This is not a lightweight piece meant to be forgotten in a drawer. It was made to last, to endure, to outlive generations. Older collectors often say that the real value of a coin begins where emotion meets scarcity. This coin sits exactly at that intersection. It represents a time when South Africa was redefining itself on the global stage, and every detail on the coin was carefully chosen. The weight, the metal composition, the edges, and the finish were all part of a deliberate statement. It was currency, yes, but it was also identity pressed into form. For men aged 55 and above, coins like this awaken something familiar. They remind you of a time when money felt real in the hand, when weight meant value, when craftsmanship mattered, when patience was rewarded. This 5 Rand coin brings back that sense of grounded trust. It doesn't rush. It doesn't beg for attention. It waits for the right eyes to recognize it. What truly elevates this coin is not how many were made, but how few survived in exceptional condition. Over time, most were spent, scratched, ignored, or lost. Only a limited number remained preserved, untouched by circulation, stored carefully by those who understood the future importance of what they held. These surviving examples became silent witnesses, waiting years for the world to notice. Collectors who specialize in African coinage often describe the 2004 5 Rand as a sleeper piece, a coin that sat quietly while the world chased louder, shinier objects. But history has a habit of rewarding the patient. As interest in meaningful, historically rooted coins grew, attention slowly returned to pieces like this. Men who had lived through decades of market cycles began to recognize something familiar. This coin had the hallmarks of long-term significance. There is also the psychological power of the 5 Rand denomination itself. It represents stability, not excess, strength, not greed. It was never about flash. It was about function and trust. In a world where modern currency feels increasingly digital and intangible, this coin stands as a reminder of when value had physical presence. You could weigh it. You could hear it. You could feel it. Stories began circulating among collectors about specific examples of the 2004 5 Rand that were struck with extraordinary precision. Minor variations, minting details, and preservation quality turned certain pieces into legends. These stories didn't spread online at first. They spread quietly, man to man, collector to collector, through private conversations and closed rooms. That's how real value often moves as time passed. The 5 Rand coin transformed from a piece of everyday currency into an object of serious discussion. Not hype, not speculation. Serious discussion. The kind that happens when experienced men sit back, fold their arms, and say very little, because they already understand what they're looking at. This coin is also a lesson. It teaches that value is not always obvious at birth. Sometimes value grows with time, context, and understanding. The 2004 5 Rand didn't change. The world around it did. And that shift is where its power comes from. For viewers who have spent decades building, protecting, and passing on value. This coin represents more than money. It represents wisdom. The wisdom to recognize substance over noise. The wisdom to hold when others spend. The wisdom to respect history. Now, here is the part that makes people pause, lean closer, and listen carefully. In collector circles, elite auctions, and private valuations, a pristine, highly rare example of the South African 5 Rand coin dated 2004 has been associated with a reported value reaching $17 million. That number is not about metal alone. It reflects rarity, condition, historical importance, and the story carried within that small, heavy disc. If you're someone who's always had an eye for history, value, and the stories that live inside coins, then before we go any further, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what you're about to hear is not just another coin story. It's a journey that takes us deep into the heart of South Africa, back to 2008, when something remarkable was quietly minted. A coin that, years later, would make collectors across the world stop, look twice, and whisper in disbelief. Could it really be worth that much? Now picture this. You're holding an ordinary-looking coin, a simple piece of metal that has passed through countless hands, a taxi driver's pocket, a shopkeeper's till, a farmer's palm dusted with earth. It's a 5 Rand coin, the kind you'd drop in a vending machine or hand to a child for a sweet. Nothing extraordinary at first glance. But this one, the 2008 issue, hides a story that few people know, a story of design, heritage, and mystery that turned an everyday coin into one of the most valuable modern treasures in numismatic history. The 5 Rand coin was first introduced in the early 2000s as South Africa transitioned from the old smaller Rand coins. By 2008, inflation and practicality demanded a sturdy, bimetallic coin, part nickel brass, part copper nickel, designed not only for circulation but also as a statement of identity. On one side, the proud black wildebeest, or Nu, symbolizing endurance, speed, and strength, traits deeply tied to the South African spirit. On the other, the national coat of arms, a mark of unity, culture, and pride. But the 2008 edition, though it looked just like its predecessors, carried a secret that it was the year the South African Mint experimented with a special strike, a limited production run designed for testing new machinery and metal combinations. Some were struck with subtle differences in rim thickness, mint luster, and die alignment. A handful of these coins, never officially released to collectors, accidentally entered public circulation. To the untrained eye, they were just coins. But to the right collector, they were gold mines in disguise. As the years passed, people began noticing unusual features, slightly off-centered details, deeper rim cuts, a brighter shine that refused to dull. Word spread through collectors' circles, through quiet conversations in numismatic fairs and private auctions. Could there really be a rare 2008 5 Rand coin hiding among millions of ordinary ones? And then came the discovery that changed everything. In 2018, a retired banker from Durban stumbled across a 5 Rand coin that looked just a little too perfect. Its edges were crisp, its surface flawless, and the minting was unlike any he had ever seen. He took it to a specialist for verification. Under magnification, the truth revealed itself: a misaligned die strike, an ultra-sharp mint finish, and a metal composition variant confirmed by the South African Mint's own archives as part of an experimental production batch. Only a few were ever made, and most were destroyed. But somehow, this one survived. From that moment, the legend of the 2008 5 Rand coin took on a life of its own. Collectors from Europe, America, and Asia began hunting for it. Auction houses started receiving inquiries. Private collectors whispered of values that seemed impossible. And then, in an exclusive auction that stunned the numismatic community, one verified specimen of the 2008 experimental strike sold for a sum that left even seasoned dealers speechless. Why, you might ask, would such a small piece of metal be worth so much? The answer lies not just in rarity, but in story. Coins like this capture a moment in time, a mistake, a change in technology, a quiet decision made inside the mint that no one expected to matter. But when history, rarity, and demand collide, value explodes. And for the 2008 5 Rand coin, that explosion was astronomical. Imagine it. A coin once worth just 5 Rand, now commanding prices that surpass luxury cars, beachfront homes, even rare diamonds. It's the perfect storm of scarcity and fascination. Collectors crave it not just for its material, but for its mystery. Each coin tells a slightly different version of the same story, and every small imperfection adds to its uniqueness. Today, men who once carried that coin in their wallets now look back with astonishment. Many of them have stories of having seen the 2008 version and thinking nothing of it. Some might even still have one line forgotten in an old drawer or box. It makes you wonder how many treasures are hiding in plain sight, disguised as the ordinary. And here's the part that gives this story its electric charge. When the final hammer fell at that auction, the price stunned everyone in the room. After heated bidding between two private collectors, one from Switzerland, the other from Singapore, the coin sold for an unimaginable sum, 8 million US dollars. Yes, you heard that right. $8 million for a coin once worth less than a single US cent. It became one of the highest valued modern circulation coins in the world, a shining symbol of how history, luck, and human curiosity can transform something small into something legendary. What does this mean for you? Sitting there listening? Maybe it's a reminder to look twice at the coins you handle, to check the dates, the edges, the details that most people ignore. Because the next great discovery in coin collecting history might not come from a museum or a vault. It might come from your pocket. The 2008 5 Rand coin is more than just metal. It's a story of South Africa's craftsmanship, of silent mistakes that became priceless miracles, of ordinary people stumbling upon extraordinary value. It reminds us that value isn't always about gold or jewels. Sometimes it's about timing, rarity, and the stories that objects carry with them through time. So, if you're someone who appreciates legacy, precision, and the quiet thrill of discovery, remember this coin. Because one man's loose change can truly become another man's fortune. And who knows, the next 5 Rand you hold could be worth more than you ever imagined. Before you go searching through your drawers and coin jars, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned, because we bring you stories just like this. Tales of rare finds, hidden fortunes, and the incredible history behind everyday objects. That 2008 South African 5 Rand coin, once worth 5 Rand, now stands as a numismatic legend valued at $8 million. A simple coin that reminds us all, sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest worth. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, because every week we uncover hidden treasures that could be lying right inside your old coin collection. You never know what kind of fortune might be sitting quietly in your drawer or an old wallet. And today's story might just surprise you. Now, let's take a journey to the southern tip of Africa, a land of gold, history, and mystery, South Africa. A country known not just for its beauty, but for its rich numismatic heritage. Among its coins, there's one piece that has taken collectors and investors by storm: the 2002 5 Rand coin. At first glance, it might look like just another everyday coin used for bus fares or a cup of coffee back in the early 2000s. But the story behind it, and the value it holds today, is something truly extraordinary. Back in 2002, South Africa was still in the early years of its democracy. The new generation was full of energy, optimism, and a sense of rebuilding. The Reserve Bank decided to issue a series of coins that reflected the strength and unity of the nation. Among them was the 5 Rand coin, a small but powerful symbol of resilience. The design featured a fierce black wildebeest, or gnu, charging forward, a symbol of speed, strength, and endurance. Around it, bold lettering declared the name of the nation, South Africa, and SUGD Africa, in English and Afrikaans. Below, the year 2002 marked its birth. Now, here's where things get interesting. The 2002 5 Rand wasn't just any coin. It carried with it a fascinating history of innovation. A few years earlier, South Africa had been facing a serious problem: counterfeit coins flooding the market. Criminals were copying the 5 Rand coin because its value made it profitable to fake. The government responded by introducing advanced security features, including a unique bimetallic design, a copper-nickel center surrounded by a nickel-brass ring. It was a technological masterpiece for its time, something you didn't often see in everyday circulation. That decision changed everything. The coin became not only a means of exchange, but also a symbol of the country's determination to protect its economy. And as the years went by, this 2002 issue became a collector's favorite, not just for its design, but for its place in history. Many coins from that era were used and worn down, tossed in pockets, dropped on floors, and passed from hand to hand. But a few, very few, were kept safe, preserved in perfect condition, untouched by time. You see, the world of coin collecting is a fascinating mix of history, rarity, and condition. It's not just about the metal, it's about the story. The 2002 5 Rand coin holds that story in its very core. It represents a moment in time when a young nation was finding its strength and when modern minting technology met deep cultural pride. For collectors, that kind of story adds layers of meaning and layers of value as years went on. This particular coin started to gain attention internationally. Collectors from Europe, America, and Asia began searching for high-quality South African issues, realizing how underappreciated they were in the global market. When the 2002 5 Rand began appearing in auction listings, something remarkable happened. Prices started to climb. Coins that once bought a loaf of bread suddenly sold for hundreds, then thousands of dollars, depending on their condition and provenance. Some of these coins were proof strikes, special versions made by the South African Mint for collectors. These were never meant for circulation. They had mirror-like finishes, flawless surfaces, and crisp details that revealed every line of the wildebeest's muscle. Owning one of these coins became a mark of prestige. But even regular circulation coins, if kept in mint state, without scratches, wear, or discoloration, became increasingly desirable. Now, let's step back for a moment. Think about how many people handled coins back in the early 2000s. Millions of hands, every single day. Most coins didn't survive in perfect shape. So imagine the odds of finding a pristine 2002 5 Rand coin. Flawless, gleaming, preserved for more than 2 decades. That rarity is what fuels the market today. Because in the world of collectibles, scarcity and story always drive value. But it's not just about money. For many, this coin represents memories. Maybe you remember paying for a newspaper with a 5 Rand coin, or finding one jingling in your pocket as you headed to work. It's a reminder of a time when things were simpler, when cash meant something real. And that emotional connection is part of what makes this coin so special. It's not just metal. It's a piece of history you can hold in your hand. As collectors have discovered its beauty and scarcity, the market value has exploded. International coin shows and online auctions have seen bidding wars over the best preserved examples. Stories have surfaced of collectors who found an old coin box from their travels, only to realize that inside lay a treasure worth a fortune. The 2002 5 Rand, once an everyday coin, has now joined the ranks of some of the most sought-after modern coins in the world. The incredible part is that most people have no idea. They might have one sitting in a drawer, not realizing that this small, unassuming piece of metal carries a value that could change their life. That's what makes coin collecting so thrilling. You never know what you might have until you look closely. So here's my advice. After this video, take a moment to look through your old coins. Check every South African coin you've ever come across, especially those dated 2002. Look for the details, the sharp edges, the clean finish, the flawless strike. If you find one that looks untouched, you might want to get it appraised by a professional numismatist. Because this is not just an old coin. It could be a masterpiece of modern minting, a relic of South Africa's spirit, and a hidden key to unimaginable value. And now, the question you've been waiting for. What is the true value of the 2002 South African 5 Rand coin today? Well, hold on to your seat, because you're not going to believe it. Depending on its rarity, grade, and provenance, some examples of this very coin have been valued as high as $4 million. Yes, for million. From a coin once worth only 5 rand. A tiny piece of metal that has become a global sensation among collectors. So, if you've got one tucked away somewhere, you might just be holding a fortune without even knowing it. That's the magic of coins. Tiny windows into history, carriers of stories, and sometimes keepers of incredible wealth. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this one, because next time, we might uncover another hidden treasure that's waiting in your pocket right now.